All right. All right. Thank you for coming. My name is Sabrina Guzman Skotnitsky, and I'm excited to chat with you folks a bit about my master's research, which is called Creating Climate Resilience, how arts-based approaches can help young people process climate anxiety and generate active hope. And so I'm really excited to be here on the ancestral and unceded territory of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh peoples. I'm currently a student at the University of Victoria on unceded Lekwungen and Wasanich lands. And so really excited to share a little bit about the background of this research and then go right into an art making activity for the bulk of this session. And so I'd love to hear a little bit from the folks in the room and also the person on Zoom. And so if you can share your name and your pronouns, and if you have one word you'd like to share to describe how you're feeling in this moment. So I can start. My name is Sabrina. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm feeling very full. Yeah. So I'll let whoever wants to go. I don't know if you should pass the mic or speak loud.
Just here. Hello, I'm Amy. I use she, her pronouns. I think the word I'm going to use is kind of feeling humbled in the conference and kind of all this kind of knowledge sharing and yeah, being grateful for everybody's input.
Denise, she, her. I was going to say full. You stole that from me.
Hi, I'm Lynn. My pronouns are she, her. I am feeling nostalgic and full of hope.
I'm Melody. I use she, her pronouns. And I was going to use fulfilled. So very similar, but.
Thank you. Marlene online says she, her pronouns, and dizzy. And I'm Laura. I also use she, her pronouns. And I think conflicted because of the hope and also just the reminders of what's at stake. So the complexity.
I'm Alexa. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm feeling engaged.
Yeah, thanks everyone. And so I just wanted to chat a little bit about some of the background of my research. And so I came to this research from my own personal experiences as a young person in the climate movement who has experienced climate anxiety and other kind of, you might call negative climate emotions. And I really wanted to learn both about climate emotions and young people and how widespread of an issue this was. And so when I found this survey by Galway and Fields, I was quite shocked to see of how widespread an issue this is. And so in their survey, they found that over half of Canadians 16 to 25 who participated said that they felt afraid, sad, anxious, and powerless about climate change. 78% said that climate change impacts their overall mental health, and 37% said their feelings about climate change negatively impact daily functioning. So everything from the ability to focus on basic tasks, to eat, to sleep, was disrupted by thoughts about climate change. And while these numbers are staggering, in a weird way, I actually found them comforting to know that I wasn't alone in these feelings and knowing that there is research being done about this. And so my research questions specifically focus on how can visual art making and dialogue help young people cope with climate anxiety and related eco-emotions? And if so, in what ways can these arts-based approaches help youth generate active hope? And this comes from my own use of my creative practice to support myself with climate emotions and being curious if that's something that can support other young people as well. And so in this past fall, I conducted the Creating Climate Resilience study in Victoria with 8 youth who are between the ages of 17 and 21. And essentially, the only requirements to participate was that they were in the age range and that they self-identified as experiencing climate anxiety. And so we met for 3 Sundays in a row in November and December of 2023. And each session was about 2 to 3 hours long, where we had, if anybody's participating, like a climate circle. So we all kind of went around and shared as much as we wanted to about our feelings around climate change. And then we had about an hour for art making. And then we would always close with sharing further reflections. People often would share what they made and also explain what it meant to them. And basically the goal was to provide a space to process climate emotions that wasn't action oriented, because I found in a lot of organizing spaces, it was always like, okay, let's get through this so we can organize something and we can go take action. And I felt we needed a middle ground where people could just vocalize and express how they were feeling. And so the data collection involved those art making sessions that I referred to. Here's some photos of the supplies that we had and some of the folks working on the floor. It was very sweet to see that because it reminded me of being a little kid and drawing on your floor. And so then afterward, I had one-on-one interviews with all the participants and asked them to reflect on the process. What impacts, if any, did they experience on their mental well-being? What would they change about the process? What could I improve? But also their reflections on the role of art and art making in climate action more broadly. And then afterward, I asked them to submit artwork and artist statements because I wanted to learn more about the pieces that they had created during those sessions and provide them the time to write that out and kind of have further emotional processing through the creation of artist statements. And so the sessions were kind of themed on this arc of kind of trying to ease us into these maybe more tough conversations, then have a session fully focused on the more quote unquote negative eco emotions, and then finishing with more of a hopeful tone by doing kind of like a visioning exercise, which is actually what we're going to be doing here today, and really focusing on what a climate just future could look like. And so this is an example of one of the collaborative art pieces by the participants that was made by Riven, Cameron, and Holly, which was called Future Garden. I really love this one because it's so multimedia and really lovely. And so here are some of the initial findings. I'm still writing up my thesis at the current moment, but these are some of the things that participants mentioned in our interviews together. And so one of the really big benefits was the ability to identify thoughts and feelings related to climate change in the moment of them experiencing them and being able to kind of separate them out from other, stressors or emotions. So for example, 2 of the participants had generalized anxiety disorders. And so trying to understand what is like generalized anxiety and what is anxiety that's being induced by climate change or the environment. And so that giving a bit of sense of empowerment to be able to know where something was coming from. The ability to self-reflect, and people specifically use the word confront climate emotions, which to me seemed like there was like this idea that they had been running away from those emotions. And so having that communal space let them actually confront them. Expressing thoughts and feelings that are difficult to articulate with words. So taking the pressure off of having to verbalize and like actually being able to talk to people through art was very helpful, because as one participant said, like it's hard for words to capture the enormity of how I'm feeling. And then release emotions such as anger, grief, and anxiety and transform them into emotions. Oh, I didn't realize this is cut off, sorry. Like love, hope, and gratitude. And so, for example, one participant said that she felt really angry while she was creating her art piece, but then when she looked at it later, she thought the image didn't evoke that. Like when she looked at it, she actually felt feelings of love coming from the artwork. And there were also a lot of benefits that were unique to the group space. And so some of these also come from the literature. But senses of increased self-efficacy and confidence, critical reflection, creativity, transformative agency, and sense of community and belongingness. And that last one was probably the biggest one, not feeling like you were alone, knowing that there were other people that were going through the same things, learning from other people's experiences and what they do to cope. These were all really big takeaways. And so now we get to make art. So we're basically doing the exact same activity as we did with the participants in the third session. So I'll let you folks divide up into groups, but essentially you'll have, I think, about 30 to 45 minutes to create your own visions for a climate resilient and socially just future. And so please feel free to use anything there. If there's anything that's missing, I can go see if we have more art supplies. But essentially the invitation is to not think too much and really focus on the process over the outcome of what you're creating. And so, you know, really going to what grabs you, what you're gravitating towards, like the colors, the shapes, the words, etc. And you can either decide with your group, okay, we're going to chat for like 2 minutes and decide what we're making, or you can all just go ahead and just start kind of iterating. But I think the main thing is just to make sure that everybody gets a chance to contribute, however way you organize that. And then we'll come back and have a little bit of a sharing circle at the end. Yeah. You could too if you wanted to. I just like sometimes the more the better. Yeah, and it's not a lot of time. Oh yeah, I was thinking one group and like one group or yeah. Yeah, but you could do pairs. You can self-organize. I trust you. Yeah. Thank you. And this is an example of a piece that I made. So another example, this is entirely just collage. Yeah.
You go. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Many, they came down to so I right in the middle. Like one, like right at front. Well, just, you know, I find it useful to like center. Otherwise, I tend to like. So we don't forget the question. There we go. What are your join up. Sorry, the folks who join later, would you mind sharing your name and your pronouns and one word of fire? We had a second before you. Oh, yeah, sorry. That's all right. My name is Leah and she, her. And if you had one word to express how you're feeling in the moment. Oh, tired. Can I have 2 words? Yeah. But grateful. I'm fit. My phone is speaker, and I'm feeling hungry right now. It's okay, guys. Good street. That's my stuff right there. I was just putting it away before I do it. Yeah, and sorry. What was your name? Me? Yes. Oh, I'm Cecilia. Cecilia. I'm feeling languid. I'm just feeling images that are striking. Like there's something up here above. Well, the two sides. Yeah. Things are complex.
And there's the stuff under the water. Also, these guys are, I know when they're jellyfish, and jellyfish are.
That's what it looks like to me. I wonder if Forest Commonwealth of dances performed at the opening of last year's Asian Games in southeastern city of Guangzhou. Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, there you go.
bigger ground that.
Yeah.
So this is cool because it's like human,
Yeah.
nature
Beautiful.
interface, right? Okay.
Maybe not my like
I'm not
terrible
terribly
optimistic, when I think about this, my thing is about housing, I'm gonna draw some like. Oh, absolutely.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you.
They're big apartment buildings.
Okay, cool. Just a sec. I can probably find the windows for you. One of those square windows.
Ooh, that's pretty. That's so pretty.
Oh, yeah. You got
I
big
go green things. Green things. You do, yeah, like contribute. I love that. This is my like housing with plants.
Hey, here, I'm gonna give you some green
Thank you.
things.
Okay, let's go.
They're kind of the building. There's some of them. These green things. This is a fun art catalog.
Ooh, thank you. Yay! Oh, that's perfect. Thank you. No, everybody's so cute as well.
Okay, it's gonna take too much time to do all your windows, but I am.
No, that's okay.
I'm tempted to do windows.
You're welcome.
Here you go. Here, put some lights down there.
Oh, perfect.
No. Too bad. You know, there's something that don't know about it, it's called matchface. And the woman is a white, and she sits at a, she goes and gets some table or whatever, it's out, and she comes out and sits at a booth, and there's this African American guy. The whole thing where they have his face off and she's getting mad and they're working the salad. He's like, he shares his salad with her, and then she gets to go, and her salad is right at the table. Yeah, that's what made me think of it, yeah.
Humbling. That's
Yeah.
what it is, humbling.
Yeah. Okay, we gotta have some CGI and.
Right.
I'm just gonna give you the images. You can put them where you like. In your.
In my apartment?
Yeah, I kind of like the drawing with the.
Oh, absolutely. Everybody's welcome in my type of team.
Okay, park.
Yes, please, definitely. Yeah, if I can get right to it, yeah, I do. Great. Oh, cool.
There's also like a link one right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, also feel free to like barter with everybody.
Mine is very cramped when yours is like, no, I'm having
I'm not logical at all. Decision situation.
hey, no.
If nothing else, then maybe.
Do you want penguins or do you get nice?
You know what you can do, whatever your little heart desires.
Definitely engaging with my 2-year-old child.
Okay, we're gonna, I can give you some mountains to go up here.
Oh, yeah, please, definitely. I think, yeah. You have more EDI as well, we can have more people included in do we want to do might be too labour intensive, the like with this one thing like quotes that are all that, do we want to, you know, like where kidnappers rats and what any words that we think should resonate.
I can pull letters. Hope.
I don't know, like complicated.
Nature.
Yeah, very much so. What's that? Will Cronin? William Cronin? Until the end of nature. Yeah.
Rewild. Okay.
Where do you want these stuff? You're not sure yet? Okay.
You know, for me, like I can, like put little people down here. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means.
Oh, there's some kind of
Those are big scales.
compared to that in my answers. I'm very literal minded. I think my problem.
Just visually.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
You green
It's over here. Thank you. And purple.
All right. Should we go?
Yeah, I figure, who cares, right? I figure I'm just gonna start doing, even though we're gonna have a very bizarre.
That is absolutely fine. I am sort of tempted to take these pictures of cows and then put red arrows through them.
We're not eating
We
anything.
can't have cows in the same way that we have cows. My Instagram algorithm at the moment is full of like cows getting rescued and like living.
Really?
Yeah, so I don't know how this has happened, but I keep seeing like these cows that get rescued from dairy farms and they're just so happy, you know, bounding around fields and rolling up grass and having a really nice time.
So how is Verte liking her counseling?
I think, yeah. I haven't spoken to her. I know she's been doing work at a hospital this summer. And doing like placements, I think, in a hospital, which is definitely a direction because I think you probably know she's been like just working for herself for a while. And like working with like the constituent she was working with before. But yeah, it sounds like, and again, like she's been so busy this summer, and I've been so busy. But when I go, I should be hearing how she's been doing because it gives her like a new point of practice, I think. I know that she took the kids to the States to visit family over the summer. They've got family in like New York State and over that way. So I know she was over there for a while. Yeah, I think it's Greg's sister. Yeah. Yeah, I usually end up visiting at the end of August because it's Wynn's birthday. So once he only goes to visit and pick him out on the trip, there he is.
That's bizarre that you guys are both.
It's so incredible. Like we've been friends since we were 13.
Oh,
And
really?
yeah, we were in high school together. And I had moved out here 13 years ago. Oh, I love it. 2010. So 14 years now. And 4 years later, Verity and Greg moved out because Greg got a job at UBCO. And I think at the time it was between there and somewhere in Sweden, I think, somewhere in Sweden, Norway. And so I was obviously like, oh my gosh, yes, please come to Florida because you're going to be so close. And they did. I think it was hard to start with. Like, I think they moved in winter. And the climate is, when you're coming from England, the climate is not at its best in the winter. So I think, yeah, it's a bit hard time to start with, but I think they love it now. Yeah. And the kids are so big. Have you, or do you know about Greg's loan invitation project?
Yeah.
Greg on social media. You got busted?
No, if I see
Oh, if you see one, great. I'm not sure anybody paints pictures of stuff or, you know, like hands-on.
Yeah, shopping things and yeah, I feel like there's a lot going on in your profession and it's not all. Right. Facts. Yeah. Are you ready? But I also going through the dog classes once every term. Yeah, and then for the dog process, you can't do my dog, but I think
I was brain dead yesterday.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's different. I find it's different from what I present. I find I get a bit more.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't do it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I saw.
I worked for about halfway through, so you have about 15 minutes to wrap up your piece. But we'll also, while we're sharing back at the end, feel free to keep adding to your piece. And of course, we can take it with you. Oh, no, truly, I'll do these weeks and go on. Something for that. Yeah, I'm gonna read about. Read about here.
Fun today?
Tomorrow morning. I have a theater friend.
And one that I always do is a creative rewrite. So taking like taking Lincoln out of construction and like right.
Yeah,
Which,
I took the bus here.
did you?
Yeah, I'm gonna fly home, I couldn't find it.
Yeah, it's time.
Yeah.
One of the buses I had, and it seems to be about an hour in the winter. There was an actually Coca-Cola. So we could make it around like, yeah, that maybe, but it was after dinner.
You might as well, I mean, you might as well be on the island in the winter time, Kelowna, right? Because it's just so dangerous.
Yeah, it was brutal, but like, I hate flight. So even like, you know, notwithstanding the impact of it, well, I hate flying. But after that, I was just dying.
Oh, no, I don't anymore.
There's a lot. How do you evaluate against the
I don't want to put it on your picture, but I also, can I just express my enjoyment of this dog in your bank? It's so good. The dog in your bank.
keep playing back? So it's like,
yeah, like, that's more I know, like, I did the Artmaking art gallery in Victoria, and they were like, I want these on the wall, and I make them, and I was like, more scrappy. Yeah, very much so. It's so inspired.
yeah. And it was wild, because we were doing one, so like in assignment brief and talking with the flyers in Jasper, and I found I had one that so they had brought for us that was Warren Harris. There you go. Warren Harris painting of Delta. And I was like, oh my gosh, I just opened it up and it was there. Yeah. Yeah, and it was literally like 100 years.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Goodness. Oh, kids are coming out of there at the moment. It's not to be believed.
Yeah.
Park. We were trying to add some API into the picture because all of these people are white, and I'm trying to put different people into my identity.
I students did that, like, the amazing things, like, kind of really connected, they have a notes.
Yeah. That's awesome. Oh, look. He's throwing this out.
Yeah, so you're.
Oh, no, they're not white people. Okay.
Also, I'm sharing if you want to get a magazine. Yeah.
What are you doing? I think I might have exhausted this one. Pass that on.
Like an art catalog.
Yeah, have it over there. Big ever.
Co-creation, definitely not really right here, but that's okay. Okay. We're smartly inspired from each other.
Yeah, we are just gonna allow the images
Yeah.
to do the work. People can, I am not doing too.
This is stuck down.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah, like I'm just working really intuitive. But really, you know what?
Are you?
I do some
Yeah.
work, but I'm putting that at the very bottom, I'm very mad. I'm born for the matriarch
Beautiful.
and also other characters on top.
Yeah. I'm trying to put
Which that is
some
the
light
one,
on it
that is
myself.
We do another. I should have a woman there. Why don't I get a space and stick it on top of that? I feel perfect.
Probably shouldn't put this guy. He looks like he's supposed to. It's just further than expected.
Look at that. Yeah, this is good. There. This is the best.
Black? Absolutely.
That's my favorite.
Camel. Great.
Made it into a woman. Let's let the women write it. Yeah, let's just put it, we'll do the iron.
Like, if you had this, I don't know what I can remember. It's in exhibition at some night. 10 million, 50, right, or something, and he visioned the city. So instead of population of the world spread out around the world in one place, so the city is built to hold all of the people in the world.
So that
And
everyone.
the rest of the planet can be wild, heal. And it talks about the resources that it would need to be able to support this like 10 billion people in the city. So, but it's not just like, just like just a few.
teaching at the county chat. It's also how many, you know, that can see if there's like art directors. Really cool. That was actually Bobkin. When I there was a lots of history stuff in it. And what they usually have in it. So and we're having too much fun. You know, right. All culture.
Do you want anything from there?
I mean, I feel like those are.
They're doing all the work.
Those ones are like drought, and that's not a business that.
Yeah.
Unhelpful vision.
There's a 19th century story by certain film, American author, called Yellow Wallpaper, and the story's about localism, and it's where you hear in the middle.
Well, that, you want to look at where you figure out what we're putting in the middle. I'm gonna put it there. And then we'll put something there.
Or whether it's, well, I don't have to repeat it. Yeah. And definitely not a do.
Not a do. I've been eliminating the do.
So, yeah.
I'm eliminating the do.
Their version of the yellow wallpaper.
Yeah.
I did that too. And we are talking. No, it's all up on the board.
Whereabouts do you live in Vancouver?
Main 14. So,
Okay, yeah.
yeah, no, that's not too hard to get.
No,
Pretty simple.
99 all the way.
Yeah. Do you want to put,
Oh, which?
Fairy dog. I go with it and
Peeking up. Peeking out of the hole.
So
Yeah, sure, he's peeking out.
and then it becomes
Biodiversity.
actually
Yeah, I've got to go pick something up this afternoon, so I think I'm going to take the 84. But I do enjoy how accessible it is. But it's so far, I always forget how far away it is.
But are you UBC or SFU?
Excuse me, I'm at SFU. Which is also paying.
And you're like Burnaby SFU?
Mostly, yeah. Yeah, I'm in the fall I'm teaching
No, you didn't talk
I'm teaching full in the fall, I'll be up there at least one month to help teach that and it's on communication between kids. Course for third year, which I used to teach the teaching and now I'm instructor stuff session coaching. Yeah, really great. So it's about that. Yeah, so I'll be up there at least once a week. I have to keep doing for it.
thinking something or saying something. I want to give them a little funny bubble.
Stop burning.
But this is the future.
This is the future. No.
That comes from.
It's about the hiatus.
To look at it.
People who are involved in the climate and the academic particularly, you ask them what does your future look like? There's a space all they think because they don't actually have a vision. The author of the paper uses a hiatus and it's like this gap in your brain. Like so difficult to envision. And like that's like
That's why I was saying
did that,
yesterday,
like-
they would do a project, they have a series, a television series.
Yeah.
Incorporates what that looks like.
Yeah.
But that's not what it's about. I can do whatever.
Yeah.
Do what project, but it's.
And so that,
Yeah.
you know.
She's saying, well, let's say something funny, but.
Were you in the session with everybody?
Yeah.
Oh, I missed it.
But also.
That's great. Nice.
Are very, are very rigid, you know, where you have to write this progression, you have to write these kind of form. And so within there, to write, not creative at all.
Yeah.
I've got a daughter who's gonna come to university in September.
Is she, how is she? Fun. I think so. Get hard.
Well, she's fairly resilient, and you know, she has friends, and that's not for her. But he's also not terribly involved. And she was told Brad Freddie. And then he decided to vote, she's got dual citizenship.
Yeah, that's really fun.
Yeah, because for her, that's like, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, very much so. And is it you who's American or something? So you're kind of it. Great job. I love that.
It's great.
Yeah. Look at this need to hang in one of my museums.
Yeah. There's some kind of a closing event.
All right, 5 minutes. Well, you're finishing structure. 5 o'clock. If you want to go all the blank space, like so crazy, up to you.
Sorry. Now, after Harrison. This thing said we got rough. Well, they were, yeah, we love them. We're going to zigzag from there.
No, it's a bit more primary colors, I think. But these. Can you when you thank you. There you go. I think we're done with the mark. We done with the mark page.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be great.
Like, is this the right thing?
Sure.
Well, of course, I do design associated with some of my, so kind of like specific, over the years, and also for, this is a hobby I have. As well, but I like that stuff. I guess those have a lot of, you like books. Yeah. I like your digital. Yeah, that's so.
Yeah, I'm definitely fitting my energy levels are.
Yeah, that's really nice, really cool. Very cool.
Pretty good.
I'm gonna put this thing, is it, you gonna recycle thing?
Oh, yeah, I can ask. Otherwise, it's.
Or a paper, there's gotta be a paper thing.
But yeah, I'm all ready to keep going, but you obviously listen to each other as we share, but often people find it helpful to keep working and that's all right. So I think I'll transition to our next part. I assume I don't need to use the microphone. I think we're fine. All right, great. So we're gonna have a little bit of a debrief session. And so I'd love to hear from each of you a little bit about how the artmaking process felt for you. If you had any reflections or wanted to share any pieces of your artwork or why you placed them there. And tell me what your visioning on this alternative future makes you feel. So please feel free, we do kind of like popcorn stuff and we're just working on it. If anyone feels calls to share first.
Well, the process, like I went without thinking, like I just didn't want to think. But what happened is I discovered sort of working toward privileging other more than human and women and putting sort of the patriarchal thing at the bottom. But that was kind of a discovery. Yeah, that was it. Like I just wanted to just go instinctually. Yeah. Yeah. And we have, yeah, go ahead.
Ours definitely ended up being two we were talking the whole time and like checking and reading each other, but it ended up being definitely a picture of two halves, apart from our buddy up here who wants a hug. I think one of the things for me when I think about resilience and futures is about housing. And so I wanted to put my high density housing here that have got like green coverings on them for heat protection, and then lots of different people, and then sustainable ways of getting around, so bicycles and buses, lots of green space and parks, no more cows, can't have cows anymore. But also, like, this is meant to be like a tool, like a hammer or like something, because one thing we were talking about at the beginning was that there's lots of chat around like climate about like, well, this is what we want to get to, or this is how we fix things, but there's often like the bit that's missing is like how you get there and like the tools that we actually need to do that. And so thinking about, and I'm a very pragmatic person often, so it's kind of like, okay, well, what can I do? What do I need? Like, what can I do to actually manifest this and make it happen? And so my big hammer things that they're meant to represent that. Thank you. It was, yeah, it was fun.
You don't have to share about what the piece is yet, if you have other questions you want to share, if you're still working.
We started off with. We started off with water. Down here and taking waves. Thinking just kind of, we started really with this in it. Everything flowed in. And thinking about, the juxtaposition with the dry land and reinforce all of it, hopefully coexisting, but climate change, 12 years to avoid catastrophe, and the power of many minds creating waves, so I can't be really all of that coming together. Kind of aspirational, but also warming. Also, we were just playing. Yeah, for me, it was more about the color blue, and then shapes, and then after a while, words. Like what we know is Earth and what it will potentially look like if we don't. Like for the future generation, Earth's gonna look completely different. Like for us, we think of pandas, like we know what pandas are. Future children maybe won't have those animals that we all love, and this is like our version of what we love right now, and that's why we kind of, I feel like I kind of really like these power words that were going on, because like why can't we, who will kind of change if we don't take this responsibility. I love this. It's really great. Yeah. Well, I mean, it gives it. I mean, I was thinking actually when I started this, I was thinking of brokenness, and brokenness and maybe fixing, maybe not, maybe it's just broken. But I also visually just love.
You guys done? Person is not the path to the where it takes to the artificial orca on display. We love animals, we idealize them, we reproduce them in our art, but what are we doing to protect them? All the reasons for our actions. So we have sort of various species. There's native to British Columbia right here. And I don't know if you want to talk about some of the statistics that you included.
Yeah, because Canvas is the literacy method. So there's a 30 by 30 global agreement that Canada signed, it's like ratified, to like countries have pledged allegedly to protect 30% of land waters by 2030. This is like a global
But you know, the global international community is like not really legally binding. And so like yeah, we were trying to kind of like campaign for there to be a proper legislation, real law that can be enforced. And like education. So I thought these like all the tourism like this stuff is a little bit like juxtaposition with what while knowing that there isn't any act, but at the same time like tourism brings education and that like brings more awareness to people and so people care more. So it's like
Thanks. Okay, actually, I'll explain like our approach to it. So we didn't have like an idea like where we were going with it. We just kind of like started flipping through and looking at things and kind of started pulling and cutting things that were pulling us for some reason. And then at least for me, and you both can share as well. But like then I was kind of wondering like, okay, why was this pulling me? And so we cut out this word transformation, and then it just kind of built from there. And then do you want to talk about the quote?
Sure, yeah. It's funny, like 10 minutes before I walked in the door this afternoon, I saw this quote on Facebook and I saved it because it really touched me. It said, one of the less spoken signs of deep awakening is the realization that the majority of great spiritual masters on our planet are trees. And that really, it hit me because in the forest nearby here, not too long ago, it was having a shit day and, you know, upset and sad about everything. And I walked in and there's this really big tree right at the edge of the forest where I enter usually. And just as I passed the forest, I heard that scene from Lord of the Rings when Gandalf's on the bridge and he says, "You shall not pass." And I felt like all the sadness, all the anger, all the frustration stays at the gate. And I entered the forest and I felt so safe and it was so beautiful. So I named that tree Gandalf and I was there this morning and I said hi to Gandalf and said thank you to all the trees. And then I saw this quote and it really, really touched me. Yeah.
So yeah, and started seeing pictures of the trees and like God, Mother Earth. Right?
Oh, yeah, spiral dynamics. I don't know how many people are familiar with that, but it's a theory of the development of human consciousness throughout history. And it's got 8 colors that happen to be in most packages of colors, which is so convenient. And so it's kind of like the beige is our baseline of just existence. And then, we form kin groups, and then we have this emergent need for independence, and then we start to form order and rules and civilizations, and then we get into scientific revolution, and then we start to think about caring about others, and that's the green, and then the yellow is really the emergence of technology and our exponential transformation, our ability to take the perspective of other people, even if we don't share the same values or lifestyle. And then the turquoise is kind of like the overview, looking down on all of Earth and, seeing the oneness of all of us. That's holy. So that was the fastest explanation of spiral I've ever given. Don't let me talk more. I'll be here for 2 more hours.
What are the 4 leaves? They look pretty. At least for me, all of those leaves were initially like one like square picture. And I was looking at it and I was like, I feel like I want more like something like more like dynamic to it because nature is dynamic and leaves are dynamic and they're like no leaf like ever looks the same as another one. That's why like I kind of cut them all out in different sorts of shapes, and then tried to sort of put them in like different orientations as well, just to kind of represent the, I don't know, I guess that like there isn't any uniformity in nature. Um, I also don't think that like our future, whenever we're kind of talking about the climate crisis, I don't think that it's going to be uniform. I think there has to be creativity with it. So the leaves, but also they're just pretty.
Through grants, donations, Opus, Fernwood gave me copies for my session. So yeah, just gratitude towards all these folks.